Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Philippians chapter 4, verses 5 through 7. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Adonai is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto Elohim. And the peace of Elohim, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through the Mashiach, Yahshua.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, be grateful.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I stand at the... Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Then lifted I up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Yehudah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And Yahweh showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, What came these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Yehudah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Yehudah to scatter it. Zechariah chapter 1, verses 18 through 21. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Lithonia, Georgia. Today's sermon is entitled, The Infamy of Israel. And we're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to begin with verses 1 through 14.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 1. And Yahshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahshua said unto them, See you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Now, a lot of information is given right there. All right. First of all, we have to deal with Zechariah 1 and verse 18, that people believe that somehow Judah just ended up around the world, that people just drifted off and did their own thing. No. there were situations and circumstances that were presented unto the true children of Israel that caused them to scatter. All right. We didn't have no tickets in the transatlantic slave trade. You didn't get no ticket. I tell people, if you have a ticket, you wasn't scattered. That's rule number one. Then Yahshua says there shall not be one stone left upon another. Yet we have people that say that they are going over to pray to the Wailing Wall because it's a part of the temple. You read the Wars of the Jews by Josephus, and he clearly says the same thing Yahshua said that was the fort of Antonia. That's not a wall of the temple. And then that coincides with what Yahshua said was going to happen. But part of getting the people to buy into the mystique of something is that you have something that you have to do there that you can't do anywhere else. Like Yahweh won't hear you in your living room. You need to buy you a ticket and go halfway across the world for him to hear you. That's how you build mystique right there. Go ahead.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came on to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And Yahshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed one, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Now, we have to understand what a witness is needed for. See, people think that Yahshua is setting up this wonderful love fest. That that God is love, and this is just one big lovely gathering that he's setting up. And they've used this opportunity to take hold of the gospel, to take hold of things and claim them for themselves. But when he says being a witness unto all nations, you need a witness when you go into trial. The nations have to be tried for their evil. They are not being given information for a love fest. They're being given information so that they can have righteous judgment. So while they're doing all of this stuff, taking hold of this and taking hold of that, they don't really understand what's going on. He is preparing judgment. And the whole time when everybody believes that they're in sport, and especially while the children of Israel are the true children of Israel are being afflicted, and it says afflicted unto all nations. This is why people want to show you or present to themselves as they're suffering. No matter how much money they have, no matter how many things they own, they need to present to you suffering, because it's this part that they can lay on. But as we start getting deeper into the description of the suffering, because Yahweh just didn't say he was going to afflict you. He told you exactly how he was going to afflict you. He didn't leave a question for you. Yahweh says, I am a great Elohim. I tell the end before the beginning. So it's in there. But if you're just casually dealing with some things, you will then allow some of the things that you hear to persuade your thought process. You can hold your place there because we're going to come back, but we're going to read a few things before we come back here. Let's go to Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13. You know, I mention all the time about, what happens when you have a empty house. Sooner or later, somebody's going to come and take possession of that house. And all they have to do, even in legal terms, is once they show that they have been taking care of the land, even the true owner of that land has a problem, because now they have established that they are the ones there. Possession is 9/10 of the law. That means you can say you own it, but you don't possess it. So that means they already have 9/10. Do you know how hard it is to beat 9/10 with your 10?
Mm-hmm.
The difference is our 10 is with Yahshua. See, you don't understand why he'll say stuff like that. Yeah. Give me the 10. You owe me the 10. Don't worry about it. Wait a minute. Yahweh, how we going to beat 9/10? Watch what I do with your 10. Watch what I do with it. Y'all know they got 9/10. That's all right. Watch this, though. Watch the 10 that I have. You better make sure he in that, and we good. Acts chapter 2, and let's start at verse 1.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind.
Now, the one accord is they all knew that they were there to make an appearance. All right? So they're all there on one accord in one place. They know exactly why they are gathering. Go ahead.
And it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them.
Now, understand something now. They know why they're going. All right? So they go to the same place for the same reason. But the gift does not appear until after they're there. Go ahead.
And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other languages as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yehudis, devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
All right, so you have to consider, first of all, why is this blessing even necessary? It said that there were dwelling at Jerusalem devout men out of every nation under heaven. So these people have been spread abroad, but they all know that they're supposed to make their appearance. Now, how did they learn that they had to make their appearance? Because they sure didn't read it in Hebrew, because they had to be able to speak something else. So we have to, consider some of the things that are being shoveled to us. We're talking about 2,000 years ago, Yahweh had to create a miracle so that these individuals could communicate. Yet we have people telling us that you must learn the language or you are not a true disciple. This is also how we've been, and how did they get that? This is what happens when our people hang under other nations and we try to get our accreditation from them. They sell that idea to us and then we sell it to each other. But the truth of the matter is, if you have been always speaking this language, then I can pretty much tell you ain't Israel. Israel have been scattered and spread out. How you end up in one place to constantly be able to speak the language? We're talking 2,000 years ago and they couldn't do it. 2,000 years ago, they had to keep Pentecost and everybody don't know the same language. That's 2,000 years ago. Now, how we going to do it now? If we couldn't do it 2,000 years ago. Right. Common sense ain't that common. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own language, where we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, and Cappadocia, and Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia, and Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Yehudis and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our language the wonderful works of Elohim.
Now, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me 2,000 years ago, you had all these different places where the children of Israel were scattered to and coming from? Yet a whole nation was built out of one country. And now they're looking for all of these people so that they can justify themselves being there. Wait a minute. This was one holy day and the people came from all these places. How did a nation be built out of one country? It does not fit what's written in the Old or the New Testament. Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, "What meaneth this?" Others mocking said, "These men are full of new wine."
All right. And that's what normally happens when it's something that we cannot explain. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 2. And I'm sorry for those who are on line and you did not get a email for trivia questions. We are doing Bible trivia today, and we are going to do that a little earlier, about 4:30, because we do have some things that we have to work on today. So we're going to do that, y'all's will, at about 4:30. But if you want the trivia questions, send an email to the UCI.org. Before you send that email, please check to make sure you don't already have it. Isaiah chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
The word that Esaias, the son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, "Come you, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the El of Yaakov. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem."
Now, we know that the real anti-Semitic ways of the land of Israel ain't going to allow that to happen, because they only let certain people come through. How is going to be a house of prayer for all people? How all of these people are going to seek Yahweh, but they can't come in? How that's going to happen when anytime somebody comes from another nation, they're called infiltrators? How is that supposed to happen? Go ahead.
Verse 4, "And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come you, and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. Therefore you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbles himself. Therefore forgive them not. Enter into the rock, and hide you in the dust, for fear of Yahweh, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down. And Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan.
Now, when people own networks, they can easily put forth the ideas that they want to put forth. They can easily show themselves in a light that is pleasing unto them. After so much of that, then it's very easy to have a high and lofty look. Whereas other individuals, when you see them on television, it's always one of their people getting arrested. Well, Yahweh paying attention. He said, some have exalted themselves. He said, that's all right. I'm going to take care. I'm going to be the weight balancer in this. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And upon all the high mountains and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fence wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures.
And there's a reason why you're going to find Tarshish over and over mentioned. Yahweh knows, like it is written, I tell the end before the beginning. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 56. Isaiah chapter 56, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Thus says Yahweh, keep you judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that does this, and the son of man that lays hold on it, that keeps the Shabbat from polluting it, and keeps his hand from doing any evil.
Understand, there's a reason why even in this country, you go to seminary school, they're going to teach you against the Sabbath. They openly know there's not one pastor in America who does not know when the real Sabbath is. You can't go to seminary school and not know it. They all know it. But they've also been led against it. Why would the adversaries of Yahweh allow you to learn and be strengthened? If this is the building block of the step of your strength, why would they teach that? Go ahead.
Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh has utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus says Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Shabbats, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in mine house, and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters.
Why? Because they have made a great sacrifice. See, the beautiful thing about Yahweh is he knows the sacrifices that we make. Some of those sacrifices are not seen unto men. Some of those sacrifices are very small personal sacrifices that only you and your Elohim know about. He know everyone. Go ahead.
I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yahweh to serve him and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants. Everyone that keeps the Shabbat from polluting it and takes hold of my covenant.
Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yahweh. You know, at a point we all have to ask that difficult question: how they gonna serve Yahweh? They can't come in. Go ahead.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar. For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people.
A house of prayer for all people. Not a house of prayer for just the people who I like or the people who say that they can prove their lineage. Because let me tell you something. This lineage thing is getting quite hilarious. Just like you have these Hebrew congregations that had that fake tribal chart. They got a white tribal chart now. Oh yeah, the Gentiles that came out with white Israel chart. Oh, the chart blinded when you first look at it. It's all white. That's wild. But you got, crazy stuff on every side. So now they got a chart where all these different nations is each tribe. And clearly they made it in retaliation of the other chart. So it really is stupid is and stupid does. So they took a stupid chart and tried to match the stupid chart with more stupid. And both of the charts is absolutely ignorant. But it's interesting. The ones that possess all of these things are bothered by that foolish chart. Now, why would they be bothered by that foolish chart? Right. Go ahead, brother. Where you at?
Verse 8.
All right. Did you finish that?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
The Adonai Yahweh, which gathers the outcasts of Israel, says, Yet will I gather others to him besides those that are gathered onto him.
So then, once again, we see how this thought process of not letting anybody in but the people that they like is a problem. The Adonai Elohim, which gathers the outcasts of Israel, says, Yet will I gather others to him besides those. Yahweh didn't create all of this to only be served and worshiped by Israel. No, there's order. It's Israel first. Yahweh set up this earth, and he's going to get him glory from the inhabitants of the earth. It's not just for Israel. It's supposed to be through Israel, but not only for Israel. And that's something that we have to remember. Now let's jump back to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew 24, and let's start that at verse 15.
When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso reads, let him understand.
You have to understand just how much abomination and desolation has been in the holy place. When the Gentiles came in, just to make sure that we couldn't keep our practices, they sacrificed a pig on the altar. This is why I thought it was very interesting. If you even go back into some of the occurrences with the fighting between Hamas and Israel, there was one that they called the Yom Kippur War, and how they said they were invaded during the holy day of Yom Kippur. Now, what I found this is interesting is, so did they forget that? How is it that this time this huge attack happened, but they let all the holy days go away before they did? So you trying to tell me Hamas forgot their own history? I found that rather interesting. Go ahead.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here's the Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
You should take a pause every now and then and browse the TBN channels right now and listen to how this slaughter that's happening is somehow prophecy being fulfilled about the greatness of Israel. Let me tell you something. When Yahweh ends up showing his greatness, it's going to be army against army. It won't be no army against no group of people who hang out at the mall. You can't declare your greatness, man. You know, you 300 pounds, man. You go and beat up on Poindexter. He 86, soaking wet with some rocks, man. You can't. Come on, bro. You can't turn around and proclaim your greatness, man. Poindexter got his little pocket protector. You know what I'm saying? You slapping him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on. I don't nobody even want to see that, man. You 300 pounds, bro. So showing what what's happening to a bunch of people, man. You know how sad it is, man, the folks sitting there throwing rocks at a tank. And then I'm going to feel sorry for the folk with the tank. I feel sorry for the folk with the tank. They throwing rocks at a tank, man. You know how angry you have to be to throw a rock at a tank? What could the rock possibly do to the tank? You're so mad you just want to hear tink. That's it. I can't look at that and feel no kind of way. That's straight slaughter, man. I don't even want to see that on the playground. Hey, man, leave that dude alone, man. Go ahead.
Verse 25. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Now, we have to understand some things. For immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. You're going to find this prophecy in the New and in the Old Testament concerning these end times. But then it says the moon, after the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven. You have to then ask yourself, man, a star is bigger than the earth. The star is bigger than some of them things we seeing up there. If a star fall to earth, we ain't going to be here no more. So what star is he talking about?
Angels.
What star is he talking about? Because he sure ain't talking about no regular star. An asteroid fell and left that thing called the Grand Canyon in there. Okay? So if one pebble fall from there, we what you call done deals. So what stars he talking about falling from heaven? Oh no, these Lucifer's kids. Y'all think we got problems now? So immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Why? Because they're getting thrown out. Verse 30. What happens after they get thrown out? Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Why? Because he the one just threw them out. Go ahead.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Because at this point they realize that they've been playing for the wrong team. When you see the Son of Man sitting there, you like, that's him. You talking about him right there? Oh, dang. Too late now. Too late. Too late now. Now you don't realize all that stuff that you done. All that money you was sending. You sent all that to all the wrong people. Oh, yeah, they gonna mourn now. Because they realize, oh, we in trouble. You mean we put all this money into helping these people, and we've been stepping on these people? But you know who he like? He looked like them people we've been stepping on. Okay. Go ahead.
Boy, Floyd Mayweather gonna be heartbroken.
Man. He's just playing the game. He make a lot of money with them people. Okay? He had to sit down and sign contracts with a lot of people. So he's appeasing how he got his money. He didn't get them kind of millions by coming to the hood and throwing those fights. Okay? He went down to them arenas and threw those fights. You need to go and take a scan in that arena. Brother, we didn't pay $15,000 for a ticket. All right? You need to look at who on the front row. I'm be honest with you. We bootleg the cable to watch the pay-per-view. All right? That way he got his money from.
And to get the pay-per-view, you got to go through them.
Hey, bruh. He taking care of his business. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree.
Oh man, if you don't, you need to you're going to hear this so many times, it's going to be sickening. Because this is one of the things that you're going to hear a lot of individuals. You won't hear necessarily, it's not like you're going to hear a lot of Ish say this. You're going to hear a lot of Christians who are blindly backing the idea of Israel. They're in love with the idea of Israel, just not really Israel. But the idea of Israel, people are in love with. This is how people are pushed into agreeing with whatever is said to be Israel, even if it's wrong. That's why they can't let anybody like us make a valid claim to being those holy people. Go ahead.
Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When its branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So likewise you, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
All right. So that we understand that there's definitely going to be some turmoil. Let's go to Romans chapter 11. Romans chapter 11, and we're going to start that at verse 11.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Elohim forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
Now, you have to just meditate on this concept for a second. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? They being Israel. Elohim forbid. But rather through Israel's fall, salvation is come to the Gentiles. So one people fell and another people got put on high. Now, it says to provoke them unto jealousy. Now, how do you provoke someone to jealousy with another people?
Give them their stuff.
I tell you, you may feel one way when you look and you say, man, that brother got a nice car. It's different when that nice car yours. Hey, man, that brother got my car. It's one thing when you say that brother got a nice house. It's altogether different when he walking in your door. He go up to your car and he got the key. Wait a minute. How you get in there? Y'all gave me your keys. Oh, you can't get no more provoking of jealousy than that. You go to your house and your wife kiss him. What? What's happening there? Okay. You somehow couldn't remember the rules of my house. So I gave somebody yours.
Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them, the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
So then this still presents a question. Because if the diminishing of Israel mean the riches of the Gentiles, how are the true children of Israel? It doesn't make sense that we would be possessing land, weapons, artillery if we're supposed to be diminished, and that diminishing raised up the Gentiles. If we were sitting side by side with Gentiles as what we're seeing with the people who proclaim to be the Jews, then how did this happen? Who diminished for who to get up? If both of y'all side by side. Go ahead.
For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
This is another thing that we have to keep in mind. It was Israelites who taught the Christians. We have then allowed for the Christians to turn around and then teach us. Go ahead.
If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them.
So he lets you know that he is provoking to jealousy them which are of his flesh. So the natural lineage is being provoked to jealousy by allowing someone else to have their stuff. Go ahead.
For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
Which is something that the nations don't want. The nations are fine the way things have gone, to the point where he's got to say, don't you boast against them. Go ahead.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partaketh of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you beareth not the root, but the root you.
All right, so now we have a ism and a schism here. Okay? But do understand who created the ism and the schism. Yahweh. I'm going to get him your stuff. But there's a problem here. He has engrafted them in, but then they have boasted against the natural branches and root of the tree. Go ahead.
You will say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of the unbelief they were broken off, and you standeth by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear.
Now listen. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. Okay. So then, if anyone is reading this and desire to keep ruling over you, then that means they need to keep you still in unbelief. You don't understand how much power unbelief operates in. Remember, Yeshua could not do many works where he was brought up. Why? Because of their unbelief. He had to do works in other places. He couldn't do the works there. So then if someone needs to keep you down, then they will feed you things that will keep you in a state of unbelief. And then you now limit the power of your Elohim. Your Elohim didn't decide to limit something in you. You have decided to limit your Elohim by your unbelief. Go ahead.
For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not you. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim.
Both. Two sides of that coin. Goodness and severity. What people want to preach and teach today is all goodness. They do not want to deal with any severity of Elohim. And he very clearly lists, there ain't no once saved, always saved. Keep reading.
On them which fell severity, but toward you goodness, if you continue in his goodness. Otherwise, you also shall be cut off.
You also shall be cut off if you don't continue in the goodness. Go ahead.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of an olive tree which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree?
All right. Go back to verse 23. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. So then it's to somebody's advantage to make sure that you stay in unbelief. That's why if you decide to go to church, on Sunday, you take a few pledges. Hey, there's a whole lot of spaceships in their parking lot. They got the biggest building you ever did want to see. Why? Oh, the government will give you money to get one. You ain't got to go out there and try to do all the stuff that we're doing. No. Just go out there and tell them, look, we're inviting Jesus to the party. They were, here go $400,000. Go ahead and just so you can get everything started. What? That's a starter? Now you make those kind of covenants, you're gonna get some money thrown at you. That's to make sure that you stay in unbelief. Because what happens once we start receiving something? Oh, it's hard to pull us out of that now. It's hard. We talk. We can say a whole lot of things, but once we start getting some regular checks, we start getting like regular food. Oh no, it's hard to start telling us. You know what? Let's go in, man. You know what, man? It's time for us to join the riot crew, and we're gonna go against the company. Brother just gave brother, hey, brother, like, look at man. Look at me. I hope this thing work out for you. I really do. Look at him. But this first time I've been opening my refrigerator, man, and it was food in there. You know what I'm saying? I've been used to opening the refrigerator, and I see the back of the refrigerator. Brother, I don't even know what the back of the refrigerator is now, bro. I hope this thing work out for you. More power to your people. I'm out. No, it's hard. So the deeper they get you into some of those little fraternities and all of these things, it's harder for us to back out and not accept all of these extra things that come with it. See, this is the greatness of the sacrifice that Moshe made, saying that I'd rather suffer with my poor people than to live in a luxurious palace full of man gods. Do you understand? It is oftentimes, man, we talk about all these things about Moshe, but we do not highlight how big this sacrifice was. He is in a palace, man. Have y'all ever just paid attention to some of the Saudi kids, the kids of the oil sheiks? Have you ever just looked at something? Like, they might have like 42 kids, all right? Because they rich like that. And kid 39 has 3 Ferraris. This not like the first. This kid, like he don't even see this kid that much. This kid, kid 39 got 3 Ferraris, and then they have fun with him. I saw one. They wanted to see how many people they can put in the Ferrari before they wrecked it, and they all jumped in the Ferrari, just laughing and driving, tearing up the car. This kind of money that they working with. They playing with that kind of substance. If some of us got some of that, kind of substance, we wouldn't even remember the name of Yahweh. And that's actually sad that we do have a price. This is why you get in this book and it says, keep me sufficient. Don't give me so much that I forget about you. And don't give me so little that I steal. Keep me right in here. Keep me right in this little lane so that I am forever dealing with you. Because if I get too much, and then I start getting to the point where, now I ain't praying. Now I ain't showing up to church. I ain't even watching no church. I ain't doing nothing because I got everything I need. Now I'm in trouble. And when you have a rich brother who writes this, keep me in this lane. But how much we have is based on our own limitations. Some of us, all it takes is a little bit. And we don't forgot about Yahweh. Now, a few of us, if we hit that Powerball, we're going to be out of here, Others, we can just get 3 numbers of the Powerball and we out. Bro, you ain't win. Bro, they gave you like a turkey leg and a tall coat. You out on that? You want a turkey leg, a coat, and some free tickets. You out? Come on, man. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part has happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
All right, so now there's another thing that we're going to have to deal with. That blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. The fullness of the Gentiles is the time that they have been given to rule the earth. So if Israel is going to be blind during the fullness of the Gentiles, how is it that Israel is ruling during the same time that the Gentiles are ruling? I just pose a question. Go ahead.
And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Yaakov.
You should browse the internet and look at some of those things that how some of the people in Israel are saying, Christians are idol worshipers because they believe in that Jesus. You have to, understand something. Just transfer that right to us because we believe in Yahshua. But people who have everything don't need a savior. What are you being saved from? So clearly there's a defining line, a separation there, because the people who are truly being persecuted all over the earth definitely need a savior. But if you're pretending like you have been persecuted all over the earth, you don't really need a savior. You just need the sympathy that comes along with saying that you've been persecuted. You really don't need a savior. And you'll find that out if you go and one of your kids starts saying something, such and such, and they saying, they in pain. They really just don't want to go to school that day. But mess around and run too close to your kid's rescue that day. You're going to find out. I'm in pain. You know what? Let's get up. We need to go to Grady. Now we're going to go to Grady. Now we're going to be down there. We're going to be down there about 4 hours before they take our name. Now we're going to be down there another 2 hours once they move us to the back. Now we're going to be down there another 3 hours once they look at you and they're going to give you your prescription. And then we're going to go down there. You ready? You know what, Daddy? I think I'm all right. You'll drop me off at the school. Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. You find out when you go to deal with it, you really ain't got them kind of issues, huh? Right. Go ahead.
For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. As concerning the gospel, they're enemies for your sakes, but as touching the election, they're beloved for the Father's sake. But the gifts and calling of Elohim are without repentance. Whereas you in times past have not believed Elohim, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief.
For you in times past have not believed Elohim, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief. It's starting to look like all you have to do is keep true Israel from understanding who they are. Go ahead.
Even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they also may obtain mercy. For Elohim has concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. Oh, the depth of the riches the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of Elohim. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. For who has known the mind of the Adonai, or who has been his counselor, or who has first given to him, and it shall be recompensed unto him again? For of him, and through him, and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen.
All right. So let's go to what was that? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. It is amazing that this is a part of the things that you hear thrown around about how there's such this belief in the Torah until you start dealing with the things that are in it. And now all of a sudden you have these debunkers of the Torah. How can you debunk the Torah while saying you are, a holy people? So start at verse 15 for me. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. And our people have been told to pay attention to verses 1 through 14. Because all we deal with are the blessings. All right? So then what do? I've actually heard it come out of the mouth of our people. You can tell, look how much those people have. You can tell they blessed. You can tell they the chosen people. Look at all that money. I was flabbergasted. Wow. Because we are told that money is a blessing, and if you have money, you are blessed, and then that then shows that you're supposed to be God's chosen people. So we have been told to focus on the idea of verses 1 through 14. So start at 15.
But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day.
Now, if you it shall come to pass if you will not hearken. Now, all of the things that we have read before, we have already concluded that Israel didn't follow. All right? Everything written says that Israel didn't follow. So then now the things that proceed after this, you should be able to find on the true holy people, because we know for a fact that Israel did not follow. This is after Egypt. So anybody try to tell you that they'll throw the slavery thing in, but they won't mention when. No. Tell me when you were slaves. Tell me when. Because you can't throw the Egyptian so-called thing that wasn't anybody else anyway. But if they try to claim that, this is after. He's given them this after coming out. You can't claim Egypt as your captivity. You got to have another one. Now, how many of these curses did he say we're going to have? Keep reading.
That all these curses shall come upon you.
How many?
Oh.
Okay, so, all right. Since these are way markers, these are things that we know Israel was not obedient. And then he said, if we can't find these, how can you be those people? Did Yahweh lie? Did the Torah lie? Is the Tanakh full of lies? It says all of these are going to come. And we're just going to read a few. Keep going down to verse 19.
And overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store.
Wait a minute. If your basket and your store is cursed, then you're not able to purchase all of these things. Now we have a problem. The first thing we want to do is to be as rich as we can. We won't be richer than we want to be rich. All right. We want to get a dog named Dollar. We really want to be rich. We really don't understand. Wait, hold on. there's some things that are set for us. I mean, we'll always have a few of us that are going to do well, but then we want to all do well. Wait a minute, but we have some bullet points that we have to have as a people if we're going to be these people that's listed in this book. Keep reading.
Cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kind and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out.
Jump to verse 26.
And your carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away.
When they hung us, they left us on the tree. It was as a trophy. They came and took pictures under the dangling feet of the hung men and women. And as we were left out, eventually the birds come to pick at the decayed corpse. I just asked the other people. This is why, there are a whole lot of things. Now imagine if you're in control of the media, you can control that other people have sympathy for you. But we can't find this about you. Now, if Yahweh says, I tell the end before the beginning, did Yahweh forget this? Did he forget he said this? Jump to verse 30.
You shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build an house, and you shall not dwell therein. You shall plant a vineyard, and you shall not gather the grapes thereof.
Now, one of the things that we have been told is how the Jewish people have been able to preserve their heritage throughout all adversity. And I find that absolutely peculiar. Because in verse 30, it says, you shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You wait a minute. Now, how y'all stay the same because what happened with us, we are many different shades. Why? We have all types of, we're already colored people. But when you talk about a man betrothing a wife and another man lying with her, they didn't respect marriage in slavery. They did what they wanted to do. So then, if the people are, since verse 15 says, all these curses are going to come upon you, I just grab a few and I ask, present these to me. I don't want to hear, we got 68 verses here. I don't want to hear about one event 68 times. I need to, you got to show me different events because these are all different curses. But you see the trick of the devil though? I'm going to show you the same thing 68 different times. And I'm going to make you accept the same thing 68 times. Keep reading.
Brother, with this whole situation, when you talk about that, when you even look at, if you want to claim the Egyptian slavery, right? Mm-hmm. We read nowhere in the Egyptian slavery about them sleeping with the wives of the children of Israel.
None. They didn't even deal over there like that. And we're talking about people who were close in skin tone to one another. Mm-hmm. You don't hear about no mixing between the Egyptians like that. Why did Moses have that issue? He lived in the house. He grew up there. He was accepted as an Egyptian. Go ahead.
Verse 31. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and you shall not eat thereof. Your ass shall be violently taken away from before your face, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given unto your enemies, and you shall have none to rescue them.
This is the plight of the children of Israel if they didn't follow what they were supposed to follow. we have concluded easily that the children of Israel didn't. So this is something that you must find in the true children of Israel's past, present, or future. And we've been around a long time, so it should be past and present at this point. Go ahead.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given on to another people,
Uh-huh.
and your eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long.
Uh-huh.
And there shall be no might in your hand.
All right. I've been to a lot of markets. I've been to a lot of places. I've never seen, the Jewish kid market where those kids were sold off. I can surely show you where these Hebrew Israelite children, these little black babies, were sold off. I just ask, present the things. It is amazing that you have whole created doctrines where they're saying they're going to debunk Deuteronomy 28. Browse around. You'll find people where they're going to go into each line and try to debunk how you debunk Yahweh. And still claim that you his son. Go ahead.
The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you knoweth not eat up. And you shall be only oppressed and crushed always, so that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see.
Jump to verse 36.
Yahweh shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, onto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known.
Wait a minute. One of the things that we hear is how people have been around that region forever, and they've been able to maintain their culture. Wait a minute. Yahweh shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which you nor your fathers have known. They knew the immediate land. That means they can't be from around there. Keep reading.
And there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone.
Now we have another problem. The ones who says that they have maintained their culture. He said the true children of Israel are going to serve another God. Most of us, y'all understand how blessed we are that some of us, our kids are actually learning this? No. We grew up with the wood and stone. Wood is Christianity. Stone is Islam. This is what the majority of us were into. So when somebody then says how much they've been able to keep the culture, and they say that this says that they are those people, no. It says to me that you can't possibly be those people. Because we had a path to get here. And our path wasn't paved. Go ahead.
And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, where the Yahweh shall lead you.
Among all the nations where Yahweh shall lead you. Go ahead.
You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it.
Right. Even when we didn't have them just straight taking it, then we got that FICA dude that show up. And you realize that you got a portion. Jump to verse 41.
You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
And understand that they have school to prison pipelines that have been built. The whole, giving us freedom was a trick. You're free as long as you're not a criminal. Then they made a gazillion laws to make sure that we would be deemed as criminals. So they can then take back the freedom that they act like they really gave. And you look at how much those schools look like prisons, and you would be amazed. So that when the school to prison pipeline presents itself, this person feels like they're exactly what they're supposed to be. Why? Because they've been looking at something like this their whole life. Operate by the bells. The bells move. You move by the bells. It's just like school. You've been conditioned for that. Go ahead.
Verse 47. Because you serveth not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies which Yahweh shall send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he have destroyed you.
And we can find those yokes of iron. We can find those pictures of us having that yoke of iron around our necks so that we could not, one, escape, and two, have us plowing a field like an animal. It says all these curses. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
Why he had to say eagle? Why he had to say eagle? He could have said falcon. He could have said something. Why he say eagle? America and Rome uses the eagle. Go ahead.
A nation whose language you shall not understand.
Wait a minute. That whole, we've been speaking the language. We have preserved our heritage. This is the game that they play with us. And then they get our people to help play the game. Okay, well, if you don't speak the language, you can't possibly be such and such. You haven't read the Torah at all, have you? If he's bringing a nation against you from the end of the earth, swift as an eagle flies, a nation whose language you shall not understand. But then you are raised up in that nation. What language you going to speak? Now we see why the gift would be needed at Pentecost for them to be able to speak different languages. But yet we have allowed somebody to tell us that if you don't speak this language, then you don't have a connection to the culture. And then when they brainwash our people, and then our people come to us. Make them feel like they're somebody. You can keep thinking it all you want. That don't prove that you are. It proves that you ain't. Go ahead.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land until you be destroyed.
Don't sound like we're going to own banks and networks. That's just what I'm reading here. This is not, now this could be my, leading to my own understanding. But I have not read how we was, going to be the owner of hedge funds. I'm not reading this. That's not what I'm getting out of this. Go ahead.
Which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted, throughout all your land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you.
All right, jump to verse 64.
And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even onto the other.
Now, once again, we have an issue when a nation is built out of one group of people coming from one area. Yahweh shall scatter you among all people from one end of earth even unto the other. Once again, now we understand why gifts that was done at Pentecost was necessary. These people do not all speak the same language. Go ahead.
And there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Once again, when somebody tells me that they've been able to constantly keep this culture, I can therefore go into the Torah and say, thank you, because it proves to me that you are not those people. Go ahead.
And among these nations shall you find no ease.
You shall find no ease. No matter what we do to make peace with these people, they are not going to allow us to have peace with them. Go ahead.
Neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you. And you shall fear day and night, and shall have non-assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening. And at evening you shall say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see.
And you know you're in a bad situation when every time you enter a time you're ready to get to the other one. When it's nighttime, you trying to hurry up for it to be day. And when it's daytime, you trying to hurry up for it to be night. See, we don't understand that. I was looking at one of the programs. Of course, it was Al Jazeera, because they're the only ones that's going to show like the suffering on the other side. All right, and they were talking about, all right, it's getting dark, and the guy says anxiety is starting to set in. Now, see, this is something that I have a connection to. When I was in the hospital, when it started getting night, anxiety started kicking in, and I was like, what is wrong with me? They had them other nurses that come in at night. Hey, boy, them ones that come in at night, they don't have no bedside manner. They talk to you in all kind of way. Now you tied to their bed. You can't get up, and even if you could, they were gonna beat you. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't got the strength to do nothing. Oh, and they nasty. And I got to the point, I was like, man, it get dark, and I was starting to get anxiety set in, because I knew it's finna be a whole different. They had daytime nurses and they had them nighttime. Boy, them nighttime was horrible. Well, I was watching the Al Jazeera, and as it's getting dark, they said, all right, anxiety is setting in on the people. And he was like, why? He said, the bombs come at night. He said, they might show you a few things during the day. He said, but no. They shoot the bombs at night, so nobody can see it coming. So you talking about complete silence, and then nothing but boom, blast, all of this. Even if them people alive the next day, the next night, anxiety, they about to have a heart attack just sitting there. Then you read something like this. With Elohim, it was night. Then it's night, now you got a whole different feel. Now you want it to be back morning. Uh-oh, now it's morning, they can see me. Oh, I wish it was night. Oh, it's night, here come the bombs. Right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
Egypt again. So anytime somebody tells me about their captivity and their captivity is Egypt, we have a problem. I'm going to need you to show me a captivity after Egypt. Thus says the Torah. And I need you to make sure that you use that term, Torah, when you're referring to these first 5 books of the Old Testament. Make sure you say that. Because when people say, oh, you using about, no, I need you to understand this is the same book that everybody else say that they use. I need for you to understand that this Torah is the same book that I'm using to look for these descriptions of what have happened to the true children of Israel. I don't care what language you got this book in. I'm telling you, this is the same book. And I'm reading this in the Torah. Go ahead.
By the way, whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall redeem you from the sale. And it says that we shall be the ones being sold, not we gonna be the ones selling. See, when I start examining the history of other peoples, I find out, wait a minute, did some of these people own the slave ships? Some of these people were financing the trips. Some of these people were the buyers. It says that the true children of Israel was going to be the merchandise. So let's go a little deeper in that. Let's go into Joel chapter 3. Joel chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
Behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem.
We have to understand that bring again means cause to cease. When I shall bring again the captivity. So then this captivity has to be ceased. That's an important part to remember. when it comes down to the restoration of the children of Israel. Because a lot of people say, y'all been freed, not understanding that it was all a trick. It's like first there's the so-called abolishment of slavery, and then there's sharecropping. You are now slaves with the bills of the slave owner. That was a horrible trick. They do it to us now. It's called independent contractors. They tell you, yeah, you can have your own business. They take most of the profit, and you have all of the liabilities. The tires blow out, you gotta pay for that. Transmission go out, you gotta pay for that. And because you are an independent contractor, there's no such thing as getting an off day, because the route has to be ran every day. So if you decide that you're sick that day, it is your responsibility to go get somebody to run that route. We're back slaves again. And we think we're free. Go ahead.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Wait a minute. They have scattered among the nations. Wait a minute. See, Yahweh took back the hedge of protection from among us and have allowed people to scatter us. So this is not a situation where Israel just decided they wanted to go all these places. Go ahead.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Right. Go look at the book of the Negroes. It talks about how we were sold for cognac. So we go from the Torah, and it details what would happen. Now we're in the Tanakh, and it's telling you how it's going to happen. Go ahead.
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
Now, even as some people would like to take bits and pieces of this and say, okay, then that means they have the right to deal with these Palestinians. Well, I'm gonna need you to back up and get to the point where the children of Israel were sold for lots and sold for wine. I'm gonna need you to go present. If you're gonna go tell me that somebody has the right to go against these people, okay. So let's say we entertain that. Then the people who going against them need to show me the receipt for what they were sold. Right. Go ahead.
The children also of Yehuda and the children of Jerusalem have you sold on to the Greeks.
Wait a minute. So not only should they be able to show me where they were sold, they got to show me where they were sold to Gentiles. What's interesting is when you look at this whole setup, it's being ran by the Gentiles. We kind of forget that a new king has been crowned. We kind of forget that this whole setup of what we call the state of Israel was set up by Great Britain. We kind of forget that. And now, the one who we don't see is running all of this. You ain't seen tea and crumpets nowhere. But he running this. This is the individual who has 50 crowns. This whole altercation was started by Britain. Britain promised everybody in there during the world wars, oh, you gonna get this, you gonna get that. They lied to all of them. The conflict, so it's a game when the people come on TV. We want to come out and we want to try to figure out this, figure out a solution between Israel and Palestine. Y'all the ones who created it. They don't want to end the conflict. They created a conflict. The conflict gives them an opportunity to have power in this land. Go ahead.
You know, even on verse 6 here, so you claim the Egyptian captivity, which we know was Hamites, right?
Yeah,
But now it's being said you're being sold to the Greeks. Okay, let's show me that bill of sale. then.
exactly. See, it's written. And if we don't stay on topic, this is why I got to show you the same suffering 68 times, because I can't deal with those 68 verses in Deuteronomy 28. So I'm going to show you the same thing 68 times. No, I'm going to need you to show me the receipt where you were sold to the Greeks. You tell me that you know all of this stuff about your history. You know all of these things. Show it to me. This I need to see. Go ahead.
That you might remove them far from their border.
Far from their border. Wait a minute. Now remember, we were told that they always been in this region and they've been able to keep their heritage. That doesn't coincide with what's written. So now we done already went to the Torah and it don't agree with the Torah. Now we in the Tanakh and it does not agree with the Tanakh. Go ahead.
Behold, I'll raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I'll sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Yehuda, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Proclaim you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause your mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
Check that out. The nations have to come up for judgment. See? They got to come up for judgment. That means all of these nations have played a part in the scattering of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Here's something to consider. If the Gentiles know this time is coming, and we know how they love to study, they know this time is coming where they're going to have to fight against the children of Israel. Why would they arm the children of Israel?
Exactly. They wouldn't. We're talking about onward soldiers marching off to war. Absolutely not. That one thing they understand is war. And you sure don't send, arm these people and then you going to have to fight these people. No, you cut off supplies in war. Ain't that what they doing over there? Making a blockade. The people can't get water, can't get electricity, can't get food. Why would you give them something that you can't even shoot a missile at? Doesn't make sense at all. Go ahead.
Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened.
Now, we got to draw some lines here. We began with this. Yahshua said this in Matthew 24. Hold on, now we connecting lines now. So we find some of the same things in the Torah, the Tanakh, and the New Testament. Hold on. If we can connect all these dots, somebody has to be telling something that's not true. There are too many dots that we can connect here. So we're hearing again, the sun and the moon shall be darkened and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Go ahead.
Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2. And I want you to read verses 8 through 11.
And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, These things says the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know your works, and tribulation, and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Yehudis and are not.
So we got to break that down. I know your works in tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. Now, why does he say you poor and you rich? And I know the blasphemy of them which say that they are Jews and are not. Well, this is going to be a pretty eye-opening situation, because ain't a whole bunch of people proclaiming to be Jews. It's pretty much us and them. So one of us can't be it. Matter of fact, you open this door and walk down the street. Most of us ain't trying to be like, sir, would you like to be a Jew? Absolutely not. I don't even want to be whatever I am now. I sure don't want to be a Jew. So we're not trying to be this. So we're talking about the ones of us who Yahweh have, opened our eyes. We're not even talking about the majority of our people. Our people are not really proclaiming this. Understand that when they allowed us to have church, they had overseers in the church. The same way they had overseers in the field to make sure that you were worked to the bone. There were overseers in the church to make sure that you didn't go and teach certain things. To the point where when our churches were finally able to teach without overseers, we had some real preachers back in the day. And I'm talking about, this was on Sunday morning. We had some preachers that was knocking you over the head with prophecy, knocking you over the head with righteous judgment. And then came the prosperity doctrine. Not a single harsh word has been spoken since. It's all been jazz and offerings. Has been soft music. Oh yeah, just keep bringing the check. As they would call it now, they call them gloom and doom preachers. Oh, they don't want to hear those no more. But that was when our people was being taught the truth. But we turned that in for prosperity. So now we have a little dividing line here. I know the works and tribulations and poverty, but you are rich, and I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Our people don't even call their churches synagogues no more. Sometimes there's some word play that you may be able to go in and research, and you might say, well, this really means this. But Yahweh does some things on purpose. Go ahead.
Fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be you faithful unto death, and I'll give you a crown of life. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death.
All right, let's go jump to chapter 3 and start at verse 7.
And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, These things says he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of Dawid, he that opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. I know your works. Behold, I've set before you an open door.
Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what are your works? Because, it's being said, I know your works. What are your works? What are you doing? What do you do to help the ministry? Keep reading.
And no man can shut it, for you has a little strength, and has kept my word, and has not denied my name. Behold, I'll make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yehudis and are not, but do lie. Behold, I'll make them to come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you.
Why is he going through that extent to prove Israel? I mean, if Israel has already been a nation since 48 and they've been on every television network every day, all day, explaining their plight, why does he have to go through this extent? I mean, they got, kings of nations coming to point. When you can just make, turn yourself into a puppet master to where the king of the land that's giving you the weapons come over to your country and you tell him what to say. Yeah, we saw beheaded bodies. I saw kids beheaded. And they be like, no, we didn't see that. Oh, no, I didn't see it. What? So you're just saying whatever they tell you to say. You flew all the way over here for them people to tell you, to tell you what to tell your people. So who in control then? Interesting. Go ahead.
My brother, on the time of judgment, like you were just saying, I don't think we stop and realize, he said the book was open and the books were open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even here, even without opening the book, Yeshua would come and say, I know your works.
Uh-huh.
So like you just said, what are your works?
Mm-hmm.
So that when he come and say, I know your works, have you examining yourself? So that when you are set forth with that, you can sit comfortably and say, yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good position.
Mm-hmm. You have to ask yourself, did you serve Yahweh or did you serve yourself of Yahweh? See, when it comes down to it, when you put your little leftover stuff off in the offering box, when you put your nickel in there, when that thing come, let's see if that nickel, let's see how far that nickel went. Let's see. When it was time to work, and you double back and cut out, let's see what it hold. But you ain't going to see that until your tribulation come upon you. Then it's too late to go back. Oh, let me go back and do, no. Now, this like that one, you know what, Yeshua, let me go back and tell one of my brothers about, well, no. No, ain't nobody telling, let them hear Moshe and the prophets. All this after mercy, no. You get mercy right at that point. All that stuff you don't take care of, you ain't going to get to take care of. And understand, he going to come at you the same way you come at him. No, wait. Here go your nickel. I saved it. You put it fell at the bottom of the basket. I got that same nickel for you. Oh, I'm sorry. They say you owe $200,000? Man, that's bad. But there go your nickel. You have that as yours. What? Go ahead.
Because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
And when you're being tried, what is going to speak for you? It says, unto the forward, he's going to show himself forward. Okay, go ahead.
Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which you have, that no man take your crown. Him that overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. And I'll write upon him the name of my El, and the name of the city of my El, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my El. And I'll write upon him my new name. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Indeed, him that has an ear, let him hear. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
Verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him.
Now understand, now we're then dealing with Yeshua. Yet you have individuals who say that if you believe in a Messiah, you're an idol worshiper. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. Yet people will talk about the key of David or the star of David. The star of David is Yahshua. You can't have no star of David on your neck. The star of David is Yahshua. But yet you're going to call Yahshua or the belief in Yahshua idol worshipers? You need to understand. This is what those who possess the land say about you. Go ahead.
And the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him. The spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh.
Now, hold on now. This is the Tanakh talking about one of the seed of David possessing these powers. How is it that none of this is being spoken of, that there is the weight and the expectation of this individual showing up? Interesting. Go ahead.
And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
So then, like my brother said earlier, when we understand that the Gentiles love to do research, and they understand that said the Gentiles are going to seek this root of Jesse, then if they know that they're going to have to seek that root, how about let's pretend to be that root? And therefore we seek ourselves. I mean, but this is the things that nations do all the time. They go in and they put people in power. And then when those people don't agree with them, they go to war against those people, acting like they were always enemies. Some of these very people who they talking about, oh, we had to go and kill them. Go back a little further, find out who put that person in power. Even when you talk about this, oh, they got a problem with Hamas. Wait a minute, wait. Who helped put Hamas in power? You say you had a problem with Bin Laden. Who put Bin Laden in power? You say you had a problem with Saddam Hussein. Who put Saddam Hussein in power? It's amazing how you keep having problems with people who you were cool with before. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left.
Wait a minute. I heard, Christian preacher go into this one, and it was the biggest bunch of caca I done heard in a long time. Now they getting ready to explain. This is where the white Israelite chart comes out. Well, now they're gonna recover them the second time. Now they being recovered now. So this is how now all the Gentiles are now going to become Israelites. It is utterly interesting how you done already been getting all this stuff. Now you're gonna double back and get back in line, and you're gonna get you another. Hey man, I know this game. I played this game in the lunchroom at high school. I know this game. This where you go and put on your homeboy jacket and get you another lunch tray. Ain't you already been up here? Me? I can't believe you would say that. Make sure you put a lot of those yams on there. I know this game. I know this game. This is the double back in the line game. That's exactly what this is. So we have ruled all these years of the time of the Gentiles. Now we're going to pretend to be somebody else, jump back in line so we can rule again. But you got to believe that you must be smarter than Yahweh to pull this off. You know how arrogant you got to be to jump in Yahshua's line? Oh, that's an enormous amount of arrogance. That I'm so slick, I'm going to deceive Elohim himself. Oh, good luck on that one. Go ahead.
We shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar.
Yeah, y'all know we in Shinar, right? Shinar is Babylon. Y'all do understand that we in Babylon, right? So when they start talking about they're going to go and get all these Jews from all these places, I will stop on the list. So you got Babylon and then you got the daughter of Babylon. We got our people over in Europe too. Didn't understand. Now when you have the king who has 50 crowns, understand now. Wait a minute. Babylon then done stretched out 50 times. The king got 50 crowns. Canada is a province of the king. What are you talking about? Britain in control of that. Who you think running all of this stuff that's going on over here? And we got a new king in town. We keep forgetting that. You're not going to hear him in these discussions. He's not going to belittle himself with talking to you. He got people who run the networks to do his bidding. He's king. He's not have no conversation with you. It's crumpet time, you know. And this is the best tea in the land he's got over here. It's hot. We really don't understand what's happening right now. But because we're being entertained by what's happening on the television, we really don't understand who the players are. You're watching the character on the screen. You don't see the guy with the joystick. You might see Donkey Kong and Mario. That's not really him that's controlling him. Somebody else is making those moves. Go ahead.
And from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
And we know what's happening if we stop and stop on those islands. We know what we're going to see. But understand, even that is drastically changing as the powers that be starting to take over those islands and replace them with their people. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth.
Wait a minute, where are you getting all these people from if they already set up? And they outcasts, they cast out of what? And they coming from the four corners, they've been scattered all over. Now we start to understand this little statement about the ships of Tarshish. Because these people were scattered all over. Go ahead.
And the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulder of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab. And the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Shall obey them. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 63. Isaiah chapter 63, and we're going to read verses 1 through 19.
Verse 1. Who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save.
All right, so it's, he come with dyed garments. All right, let's see how they got that color. Go ahead.
Wherefore are you red in your apparel, and your garments like him that treads in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone.
Wait a minute, wait. You got to understand now that this wine press is because of the blood of men that they shed. It says, who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Now, if the garments are dyed, what color were they to start with? How we know that they were white to start with?
The righteousness of saints.
Clean white linen is the righteousness of saints. So they're showing up with white linen, but they're coming out with red linen. Go ahead.
I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come.
The year of my redeemed is come. Yeshua not coming back for a love fest. He coming back to take care of some business. Go ahead.
And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury, it upheld me.
Right. We are listed as the branches of the tree. So clearly, Yeshua is the arm of Elohim. Go ahead.
And I will tread down the people in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury. I'll bring down their strength to the earth. I'll mention the loving kindness of Yahweh, and the praises of Yahweh, according to all that Yahweh has bestowed on us, and the great goodness toward the house of Israel, which he has bestowed on them according to his mercies, and according to the multitude of his loving kindness. For he said, surely they are my people, children that will not lie. So he was their savior. In all their affliction, he was afflicted.
Understand that. You have to have that in your thought process. In all their affliction, he was afflicted. See, this is why a lot of times you have parents that can't be parents. Because they can't be afflicted when they're supposed to be afflicting the kid. They can't punish the kid because they can't punish themselves. So this really ain't about the kid. It's really about them. Yahweh loves the children of Israel so much, it hurt him to hurt you. But he gonna do it. See, you can't tell a kid, no television, and then the kid in the room while you watching television. That means you got to punish yourself. No, I ain't watching nothing. You ain't either. We're going to sit right here and look at each other. Now they understand. But for you to be able to get that point across, you got to be afflicted. You tell a kid to stay in the corner, guess what? You got to stay in that room and watch. Make sure you stay in that corner. So you want to tell the kids, now stay in that corner. Now I'm finna go to the mall. You think he's staying in that corner here? You out your mind. He heard you leave. Whole time he watching the window, making sure. As soon as he hear you, run back in the corner. Yeah, sure, I've been here the whole time. Right. Go ahead.
But even with the punishment, sometimes it might have to be the whole household to stand together just because one child getting punished.
You got that right.
My mom told me, she realized that the grandkids, when the parents tell them no TV, they'd come in her room. And she said, well, I got to fix for that too. That means I can't watch TV. So I'm in the punishment with y'all too. Get out my room.
But see, you have to have a dedication level to go there. You have to not be selfish. We don't understand that we're being selfish and that we are creating a problem for those children later on. Because as those children get older, They're going to lack discipline, and it's going to be too difficult to give them discipline as they get older. You can't turn around and then say, well, do this. They're like, oh, I don't respect that. You had the opportunity to teach me discipline, but you didn't do it. Now that kid ain't going to listen to nobody but the police. And that's because they got a gun and cuffs. Go ahead.
And the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and in his pity, he redeemed them. And he bare them and carried them all the days of old. But they rebelled and vexed his Holy Spirit. Therefore he was turned to be their enemy, and he fought against them. Then he remembered the days of old, Moshe and his people, saying, where is he that brought them up out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is he that put his Holy Spirit within him? That led them by the right hand of Moshe with his glorious arm, dividing the water before them, to make himself an everlasting name. That led them through the deep, as an horse in the wilderness, that they should not stumble. As a beast goes down into the valley, the Spirit of Yahweh caused him to rest. So did you lead your people to make yourself a glorious name. Look down from heaven, and behold from the habitation of your holiness and of your glory. Where is your zeal and your strength, the sounding of your bowels and of your mercies towards me? Are they restrained? Doubtless you are our father, though Abraham be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us not. You, O Yahweh, are our father, our redeemer. Your name is from everlasting. O Yahweh, why have you made us to err from your ways, and harden our heart from your fear? Return for your servant's sake the tribes of your inheritance. The people of your holiness have possessed it but a little while. Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary.
Sit there for a second. The people of your holiness have possessed it but a little while.
But they always been in the land.
Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary. See, when the adversary has the sanctuary in possession, he doesn't know how to carry it in holiness, so he's trodden it down. He's walking over all the holy things. You ever consider how many times we look at what's supposed to be holy and they talking about a shofar? We know that the shofar is a ram's horn. How many ram's horn you see in all of these big, fine edifices? They got all this money. They got all these things. Why they got the wrong horn? They trodden down their sanctuary. They stepping over all the things that's supposed to be done, and they doing them their way. Say, our people have possessed it but a little time. Go ahead.
We are yours. You never bear rule over them.
They
were not called by your name.
All right. And that is all that we're going to do for today. Praise Yahweh. I'm working on fumes right now, but I really thought you guys should have some notes of this. So that's why we're doing trivia on it, even though we have some other things that we have to do today. But praise Yahweh for that. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. We will do this at 4:30. So you got an hour and 10. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.